empty, right? Only 23 people in this class. But what if I told you there were actually more than 23 students? What if I told you they didn't have to show up, they didn't have to give speeches, and they didn't have any homework or quizzes? What if I told you they were getting a better grade in this class than you? Between 1993 and 2011, the University of North Carolina had a similar situation. They had a large academic scandal throughout their athletics department. As an avid college sports fan, my research greatly concerned me. In order to understand the magnitude of such an issue, we must look at the people and events that actually took place, the NCAA precedents that preceded this one, and lastly, the NCAA decision and implications now. So what actually happened at the University of North Carolina? Over the 18-year period of 1993 to 2011, a network of faculty was designed so that they could teach fake classes, known as paper classes, to athletes. S.O. Price, in his Sports Illustrated article, explained that coaches directed enrollment of their athletes straight into these classes. Most of these classes took place within the African Studies Department, led by Professor Julius Nyangoro. In order for an athlete to be able to play in their sport in Division I, they must maintain a 2.0 GPA or higher. So basically, what these paper classes allowed is for the athletes to never show up to class, have the entire day dedicated to sports, to practicing, to film, to team events, and never have to attend class, but still maintain above a 2.0 GPA. Throughout these 18 years, over 3,100 individuals were enrolled in paper classes. 47.6% of those 3,100 were athletes, whereas the student makeup of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill was only 4% student athletes. So clearly, it's a very disproportionate amount, which shows that these classes were specifically being pushed for student athletes. In the winter of 2005, the University of North Carolina basketball team enrolled their players into a total of 35 paper classes, with a team of only 15 people. So most of these players are taking multiple paper classes on their transcripts, all at the same time. This is only in one semester. This individual right here, Rashad McCants, he was actually enrolled in entirely paper classes. He had not one real class on his transcript for that semester. And ironically, he got all A's and made the dean's list. That year in 2005, the University of North Carolina won the national championship, as it may not come as a surprise, as every other player in March Madness was currently taking classes while they were all practicing. Deborah Crowder right here was a professor in the African Studies Department who taught over 50% of the classes. When she left the university in 2010, the average GPA of the team, both basketball and football, dropped nearly a point. And that was the way that the whole hoax of paper classes was found. That was according to Chronicles Jack Strickland. So this right here is a primary source document. This is a legit final paper from one of the paper classes. So they had no homework, no quizzes, no attendance necessary, but they did have one final paper needed that had to be graded so that they had something to go for the class. They had an actual proof that the class was somewhat real. So this right here is our final paper. It is 146 words, and it is the entire first half is plagiarized directly from Rosa Parks' My Story. One of the lines goes, and I quote, "Her and the bus driver began to talk, and the conversation went like this. 'Let me have those front seats,' said the driver. She didn't get up." That paper received an A-, and that was the ending grade for that athlete. When we look to see what the University of North Carolina deserves as a punishment from the NCAA, we should look at the precedents that came before. In 2007, Florida State University had an academic fraud issue as well. However, theirs was only 61 counts of academic fraud. They did this, according to Frank Knoll of SB Nation, through an online music appreciation course. They were forced to forfeit all of their games in this time. They were put on probation, they had reduced scholarships, and they also had a ban on bowl games. These effects were very costly to the university, as because of their reduction in scholarships, they couldn't attract new talent to their school. They also were banned to go to any bowl games, which is where a school makes a lot of their revenue through sports. So this proved to be very, very costly. Now this is similar because it is academic fraud to North Carolina. However, North Carolina's example has over 3,000 more counts of academic fraud. Our next example is Southern Methodist University. In 1987, Southern Methodist University was given, for the first time and only time, the death penalty from the NCAA. Essentially, the death penalty shuts down a school's programs, all athletic programs, for multiple years. This was costly and still felt today, over 40 years later, 30 years later. They had many violations, but their major violation was that they paid collegiate athletes, which is actually a federal felony also. So they were given the death penalty, and although it's not academic fraud, it does show how the NCAA needs to be, how they can set very harsh punishments to those who commit, definitely endangering to the NCAA, when they commit those acts. So, so similarly, you would think that with North Carolina, they would have to give them a harsh punishment as well, because by doing that, it would show the rest of the Division I colleges that if you were to commit this crime, you will be severely punished as well. So does anyone have any idea what they think the University of North Carolina got? What was their penalty? Anyone have any idea? Oh, well, my guess was that they would at least get the same thing as Florida State, right? Or maybe 3,000 more. Maybe they had more. Maybe more than Florida State got. Well, here's a list of what they got. Yeah, nothing. They had absolutely no penalties. After these allegations came out in 2011, the university wrote up a 59-page article admitting to the fraud. They admitted that they had conducted these paper classes specifically for student athletes. However, after a 6-year investigation, the NCAA concluded that no academic fraud was able to be found, and therefore no penalties were given. Dan Kane from News Observer last fall relayed that this decision is extremely hypocritical on the part of the NCAA. As they preach, student athletes are supposed to be the best both on and off the field. However, this example proves that off the field, the NCAA doesn't really care about academics. Instead, this decision was made due to money. Basically, the way the NCAA receives their money is they take a percentage of what each school makes. So, if they were to put North Carolina on probation, if they were to reduce their scholarships and put a ban on all of their bowl games, the NCAA would be losing money because they'd lose the money that North Carolina would have been bringing in. So basically, the NCAA put money over their core values that they so call of academics. So this decision by the NCAA opened the door for more fraud to occur. Now this situation won't be very unique. The University of North Carolina got away with it, so why wouldn't every school try to get away with it? It enhanced their ability to win games, and over their 18 years, they won 17 national championships. So if you want to create a culture at your school, and if the NCAA won't care, you might as well enroll all of your student athletes in paper classes. Soon the situation won't be unique. Soon, we might as well remove student from student athlete. Thank you.